This video is sponsored by Wildlife Command Center Coffee. More about them at the end of the video. Hey everybody, it's me, John Ward, and I am back with another One Filmmaker, One Film. And today my guest is
Erick Wofford.
And you are here. I asked you on this show to promote Bigfoot's Bride.
Yep.
Which is, as I told you, a film I've now watched 3 times and I am a big fan of. So before we get into this, tell me a little bit about yourself. Let's give the viewers an idea of who Erick is.
Sure. Yeah. So first off, always been a huge, big fan of films, and I've been making little comedies and horror shorts with my brothers and my friends, whoever I could convince to get in front of or behind the camera since I was about 10 years old. After high school, I joined the military, was in that for a while, got bored of that. And I was like, hey, I saw there was a local horror feature film that was needing production assistance, and I reached out to them. And they hired me, and that's how I kind of got into the film industry. Did that for about 5 years, just doing random jobs, special effects, camera assistant, anything I could get my hands on. And kind of in between the crew jobs, I would do little acting jobs, usually jobs that required shooting prop weapons. Since I had a military background, a lot of times I kind of had it in with that kind of stuff. And most recently, I finished up Bigfoot's Bride. It's out there to stream, and you can purchase the actual physical copies now. And I've got another horror anthology feature film that should be out this summer. But I've done a couple short films, as you know, as well. So yeah, it's all over the place.
Yeah. I'm looking on IMDb, and yeah, you're definitely. Let's see, you're kind of a jack of all trades here. So we got you as an actor. I'm seeing some things like Captain America, Civil War, Hunger Games, Mockingjay Part 2, Ant-Man, Divergent series, Insurgent, which I'm a big fan of.
Yeah.
They never finished it. What's up with that?
I don't know. I don't know what happened to that.
Stupid. So dumb. See, that's what happens when you break stuff in half. Then they don't finish it. If you just did it as one solid movie like the other ones, it would have been done.
Yeah.
Taken 3.
Yeah,
and
that was a fun one.
Yeah. I like all the Taken movies. And then you did a Bigfoot film, Bigfoot, The Curse of Blood Mountain. You played Charlie.
Yeah.
And so is that any relate? Because that was 2014. So any relation to Bigfoot's Bride or just another Bigfoot movie?
No relation. Just a buddy of mine that I had known was filming up in the North Georgia mountains, and he was, I think one of his actors maybe had backed out, and he's like, hey, you mind coming out and doing this little role? Basically, I just play a little redneck hillbilly that's just Bigfoot bait, and I get murdered pretty quickly. But it was a good excuse just to go up there and hang out and be on his set. So yeah, but no relation at all to my film.
Okay. Always good to have some Bigfoot films in your credits.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
It looks like it says filming here for director Splatterpunk.
Yes.
Is that the anthology you were mentioning?
Yes. Yeah. So that's really close to being done. We're basically wrapping up the wraparound story and then doing some final edits. But yeah, hopefully that should be out this summer, depending on how distribution goes. But yeah, so it's very close to being done.
Okay. And then speaking of anthologies, you're part of my anthology, my Cosmic Horror anthology, The Reign of Vibrant Screams. There we go. Which is Lovecraft inspired, Cosmic Horror inspired. And you contributed a short film called The Music of Erick. It's Erick, right? Erick Zahn?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, just spelled with an H. And tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so that's a short film I did a while back. Probably, I don't even know how long it's been, but it was a small group of friends, all crew, production crew people I worked with on a regular basis. And I was like, hey, y'all want to do some kind of short film together? And they're like, yeah, great. So I was kind of pulling through, and we actually happened to have a really old hotel that was built in like the early 1800s. That was about 45 minutes from my house, and I was able to get that as a location. So I was trying to match a script or a story that we could film in there and kind of make sense. And huge fan of Lovecraft, and I always loved the music of Erick Wofford. And since there's not a lot of description of creatures like a lot of the other Lovecraft stories, I was like, we can probably do this for an extremely low budget and it'd be effective. So that's kind of why we went that direction, and we shot it, and it's done pretty well. People seem to really like it.
Yeah, and you were the when I put the post on Facebook saying, looking for filmmakers or films, I believe you were the very first person to contact me.
Okay, yeah.
So you're
I see Lovecraft, and I'm all in. So.
Yeah, I love all that stuff, especially cosmic horror, and my cosmic horror film, that it's almost done. It's getting there, so it will hopefully it will be out probably next year, but it's going to get done. I now have everybody's. I'm just tinkering with stuff. So
there you go.
So it should be fun. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of different people in there, and yours actually ends the film, because I started with a period piece and I end it with a period piece, and everybody else's are kind of scattered. So you're kind of a bookend on that, which is nice. Right. Let's see, what else have you done here? Well, production manager. Let's look at that. Okay, so that's Splatterpunk, Bigfoot's Bride. Yep. We got. You worked on your Pretty Faces Going to Hell as in the art department.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Let's go back up here. Let's see. We got a film called Bleed. Production assistant, Solstice.
Yeah, that was that
production
first
assistant
feature film that I reached out to work as on a PA. That was that film. So that was my first professional film job, so to speak.
Okay.
It's not great, but it was experience.
Well, sure. That's all that counts. It's all about learning and all that. Mm-hmm. Let's see. Location manager. So location manager, Hunger Games, Mockingjay 2.
Yep.
Also part 1, location manager.
Yep. So all that stuff was filmed in Georgia. I'm originally from Georgia, so that's why you see a lot of Marvel movies, the Hunger Games. Most of all those were filmed there. I think the first one wasn't, but the rest were. So that's why there's a kind of a correlation to anything filmed in Georgia or the big Pinewood Studios. So I got kind of into that a little bit. So.
Okay. And I also see Rings. I'm a fan of Rings.
Yeah. That was interesting. I helped do special effects for it. We had to do like a pneumatic box system that basically made the TV jump up and down and the water come out of the walls in the house, and it was pretty intense, but it was a lot of fun. A lot of work, but a lot of fun.
Yeah, I enjoy the film. So I know some people have issues with it, but I like it. I did a whole video on it. So yeah, I liked it a lot. So how does a filmmaker like yourself go from the master of H.P. Lovecraft to Bigfoot?
It's a long story, but I'll shorten it. So basically, I did Lovecraft, had a lot of success with that. A lot of people wanted me to do another short or even feature film of Lovecraft, and I actually do have a couple of scripts that I've adapted of his that are just sitting on the shelf at the moment. But I actually started Splatterpunk after this, and our main producer had a death in the family and backed out. So, and he was about 80% of the budget he was putting up. So we've had to piecemeal this together. And while I was putting these other pieces together and getting other shorts to fit along with what we already have, I decided, hey, let's shoot a super low budget Bigfoot movie. I'll come up with a script. I'll do, it was like a 2 to 3 man crew max a day, usually a 2-man crew. And I was like, let's just see if we can do this in between and pull it off. And that's kind of why we went that direction. So, and I've always loved Bigfoot movies. So any excuse to get a Bigfoot movie is good to me.
Oh yeah, I love Bigfoot too. I'm a huge fan, and this is like I showed it before. So this is the DVD of it, and it's released through Wild Eye Releasing. Mm-hmm. And there's the spine. We got the back. There's our Bigfoot right there, and we got the inside.
Is it Bigfoot though?
I'm going to be asking you that.
What do you think? Okay. What do you think?
Oh, we're going to get there. We're going to get there.
All right.
So, because as great as this poster is, I like this guy better. So yeah, I mean, this is a great poster, but yeah, this to me, that's the Bigfoot right there. So, and it was shot, it's 2020. The running time on it is 1 hour, 18 minutes and 39 seconds, and it's not rated. Did you have any problems with Wild Eye releasing wanting to change the title or anything? Because I heard filmmakers are having that problem.
No, actually, it was a breeze with them. The only thing that kind of messed us up is we had wrapped it up. I had sent them all the videos and audio links and everything they needed right before the pandemic hit. So we kind of got stalled by about 6 to 9 months before this film was released. But no, they kept the artwork is what I commissioned out of my own design. The guy did a fantastic job. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's great art.
Yeah, and they love the artwork. They're like, well, we'll keep it. Don't worry about it. And then we'll keep the title works. It's a catchy title and unique. So yeah, I didn't have to change anything really.
Okay, good. Now, love the movie. Disappointed with the DVD because it just says bonus features, trailers, and scene selection. That's it.
Scene selection. That's
I don't really see. I've never considered scene selection to be a special feature. Trailers are always nice, but there's only a few of them.
Right.
No audio commentary. No behind the scenes. I want to know about this guy. I want to know about him.
We are actually working on audio commentary for it. I know after the fact now, but I couldn't get together with the crew to we wanted to sit down with it and do a live audio commentary with it, which is going to happen because there is some crazy stories, as you can imagine, on how we got this made. But that is coming. But yes,
I want to know, and hopefully I could get some of that from you today.
Absolutely.
I mean, I like that the review on the back of this is such a strange mix of styles. It feels like it crawled out of a grindhouse.
There you go.
So it's not grindhouse. It crawled out of a grindhouse.
Yeah.
You know, so that is a great review. And even the menu, the DVD menu is crazy with its music. Mm-hmm. What was that? Normally it's just regular music, but this is like kind of 80s techno thrown in there with some other stuff. And it's kind of a crazy music on that menu.
Yeah, so a lot of that came down to honestly budgetary reasons. So if you've seen the film, the theme song was actually written and performed by my dad and my brother and a couple of their friends. But as far as some of the 80s type stuff, I actually had I had purchased like a pack of like 80s retro clips and stuff a long time ago, and the music was in there, and it was licensable, and there's no domain or copyright associated with it. So that's why a lot of the weird 80s stuff got kind of thrown in there, and I kind of like the vibe of it because to me, and maybe this doesn't come across great, but in my mind, the view the style I was going for was, this is a low budget grindhouse Corman film. So you kind of get some of that look, shot on 16 millimeter or something like that. But then it was recorded off of old VHS. So that's kind of where you get the VHS static and stuff. So it's a kind of mixture of styles.
Yeah, it was actually, that's my next thing on here is, and I put arrows, VHS. Well, it starts off as like it's got the VHS thing on it. It says VHS. It's got the time. That thing goes to a warning, which then goes to grindhouse feature, like little thing, and then that goes to film, and then to the movie itself, and then the color grading on the film is very interesting. So I want to talk about that in a second, but the film is grainy, like it's shot on film and then transferred to VHS because it's got all the snow and the flipping and all that. And it's got background noise and everything. Tell me more about that, because I actually thought that was one of the most interesting parts about the movie, is just how it looked. The color grading itself is awesome. I mean, it's almost like you're watching a 3D movie with the red and blue glasses, and then you take it off and you're seeing these wavy red and blue lines. Yeah. Everything is accented. The greens are massive. The reds are massive. Yep. Clouds are like 4 different colors. Mm-hmm. I mean, please go into detail on this stuff for me.
Yeah, so I'm a huge fan, of course, of the old Corman films, the old low budget films, and their color grading was off. You know, it was everywhere, and I love that high intensity, high vibrancy, high contrast. I love that look in general, photos, films, all that. I love it. So I was like, I want to incorporate that into this. So we shot it. Basically just flat. Most of the movie just in a flat. No color grading at all. And I just cranked everything up, especially for certain scenes. There's completely different, like, the Bigfoot vision, stuff like that. I love that style. And it was also in a roundabout way. And I hate to even admit this, it was a budget saving move, because instead of trying to shoot this on film, or instead of trying to color correct this and pay someone to color correct this to make it look more realistic, I could use the high contrast style as an accent to the film, and make that enhance the film in a way, even though, we're doing it a cheaper way, it almost works, or I hope at least it worked to the advantage of the film and the story and the acting and the characters. So.
Yeah, I've noticed, like, on the edge of the TV, there's like a black kind of fuzzy frame. What's that? I basically just cropped it in to make it look like this is like I said, it was like maybe like VHS handheld recorded off a TV that was, on some late night, 80s grindhouse movie. So that's why there's kind of the frame in there. It's just to accent the style and kind of remind you, like, yeah, this is kind of grindhouse, this kind of VHS, sleaze from the 80s, 70s, whatever you want to say. And it's just just the style of the film, I guess. Because it's once I first watched the trailer and I thought this looks amazing, and so I got to watch this. And then I watched it on Tubi, and I said, now I got to own this. So then I bought it off of Amazon. And then once I bought it, I'm like, I got to see if I get Eric onto One Filmmaker, because I just have so many questions about this film, because as much as I love it, I could see some people going like, what is this? What's going on here?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And so what have you gotten from like that point of view?
Well, I always knew going into this with the story, even just the story, not even the style and look of the film, I knew people were going to or see the poster and be like, oh man, this is a traditional Bigfoot movie, and he's roaming around the roots, smacking people with rocks. As you know, it's a complete opposite of that. It's almost a slapstick comedy, Three Stooges mixed with like some random, like really dark humor and some gore. And it's just, every film I make, I might not have the biggest budget, I might not have the biggest actors, I might not have a lot of time to shoot it, but what I want the audience to come away with is they've seen something that they have never seen before. This is something completely new, whether it's a scene or a situation or a monster. That's my goal, is at least have one thing in the film, if not the entire film, that's just completely unique, off the wall. And yeah, a lot of people expected, especially based off the poster, a straight up horror film, and they got something else. And I knew a lot of people weren't going to like that. But there's also the other side that was like, oh, another generic Bigfoot, low budget movie. And like, oh, this is funny. This is, oh man, I've never seen this before. This completely new direction. So I've gotten, as expected, more positive than negative, but definitely people were like, hey, this is not a horror movie. And I'm like, well, it's a horror comedy, heavy on the comedy. So
I didn't think it was a comedy. I just really enjoyed it. I mean, I was laughing at stuff, but I never took it as one. I mean, it's weird, is that it's almost like somebody made this film, somebody then found it in the woods and then transferred it to DVD.
Yeah.
and that's what I'm watching. So it's this kind of shot in the 80s type of thing, or maybe even the 70s because it's on film.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is what I'm watching. I never took this as a comedy because, like I told you, I love the art on this, but I'm so glad that's not the Bigfoot.
Yeah.
So the Bigfoot that's in this movie, do you mind spoilers?
No, it's fine. It's your show.
Okay, cool. So he talks, which I thought was amazing. And it's this weird talking that I almost felt like, is it in his head? Because you don't really see his mouth move a lot.
Right.
He's wearing a coat, like this big kind of like winter kind of coat that maybe looks like it was taken from different animals. Mm-hmm. He has like a mechanic's suit on, and then he has like the Bigfoot feet. And I'm like, this is Bigfoot, which I caught from the trailer. And I'm like, I got to watch this. If this is how he thinks Bigfoot is, this is awesome. It's so better than just like the furry ape guy.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it's like, how did that come together in the mask and all that? How did that happen? Please.
Yeah. So again, going back to the kind of the budgetary constraints as all indie filmmakers run into, I knew I couldn't compete with a fully, furred up, big masks, typical Bigfoot costume. I couldn't even afford the hands for that, much less a full suit. So I thought, okay, well, what's something unique and a backstory that I can give to this Bigfoot to look a different way? And I kind of just got weirder and weirder with it. But my thought behind it, and I don't want to say whether it's Bigfoot, whether it's a Bigfoot human hybrid, whether it's an inbred human, whether it's an alien. I kind of want to leave that up to the viewer. I'm interested to hear your opinion on it. But in my mind, this creature is living out in the woods, sustaining himself by eating fish, trash left behind, and he's picking up these random articles of clothing or taking them from dead bodies, whatever he's doing.
Right.
And that's why he has a hodgepodge of different things he's wearing, and he's trying to mimic humans because he kind of wants to be accepted by them, hence Bigfoot's bride. And he's trying to mimic how they dress and then how they talk. That's kind of the thought process behind his stuttered, weird voice and all that kind of stuff, is he's trying to blend in as a human.
Yeah, because it's I mean, he definitely knows what pants are. He definitely knows what a shirt is.
Yeah.
And the coat looks like something Elton John would wear in like the 70s. I mean, he's got the one piece that kind of comes over it this way, and then he's got the whole piece that hangs that looks like moss. That like maybe he took moss from a tree, and that's what he's made this coat from it. Yeah. And the mechanic suit that he's wearing says Fred.
Yeah.
Is his name Fred, or did he take it from a person named Fred?
In my mind, and I want to leave this up to the viewer, I think that's just what he found. His name's not Fred. He just found an overalls that got thrown in the river and floated downstream, and he's like, oh, I could use this, put it on. It's Fred's overalls.
Could it be that Fred's an acronym?
It could be.
That maybe he's part of the Fred experiment.
Yeah, I don't know. I like where you're going, and I actually have a sequel that maybe deals. I don't know. It's just written at this point, and I'm kind of debating it. But I do have a sequel in the works potentially.
Okay. Because I was thinking if there was like a prequel or something to this that we would see Fred in some sort of lab with the government and he's some sort of experiment, or maybe he's from the future. Maybe the Earth has destroyed itself and Fred is now here, and he's, like you said, he's collected these clothes, but the jumpsuit is his because that's what he got experimented on. I mean, there's so many different ways of going with it. Like maybe his head was normal and then it got all kind of weird looking, from this experiment, and that's why he can talk. Yeah,
and I like, and another reason for that too is I love films that are open-ended and open to interpretation, and that's why I've kind of just left it all open. What's he doing? What's his name? Where's he come from? There's nothing really explained about him other than he's there and this is what he's doing. And that's kind of, it can go anywhere. If I do a sequel or whatever, it can go anywhere, as you know. So that's kind of why I left it that way.
So if people watch this on YouTube, I'm sorry, on Tubi, if they watch it on Tubi, it cuts off the credit sequence at the end. So when I saw it, it went to like Tubi shows previews. And
Oh,
then
really?
another friend of mine saw it and said, "Oh, did you see the mid-credit scene?"
Ah,
I'm like, "What mid-credit scene?" And so
yeah,
that's another reason why I wanted to buy the movie.
yeah, yeah.
And
That's a
there's
big, that's a big clip to miss for sure.
Yeah. So if people watch
Yeah,
it on Tubi, you're going to miss something important thanks to them
yeah,
doing previews. But if you
yeah,
buy the movie, stay through that, like midway through the credits, there's an important scene, which we'll
yeah,
talk about later on that.
yeah.
Um, so explain to me. So now this potentially could be a franchise then, if you have
Mhm.
like a part two in mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Are you thinking 2 films, 3 films?
At this point, I just got a good rough outline of a second one. So in my mind, just two at this point. But who knows? We'll see where it goes.
Okay. And what did you determine your budget on? Because this is your middle movie. So you started with the
Yeah.
HP Lovecraft. Now you're on that Splatterpunk. How did you determine your budget on this film?
So this was just whatever I could scrounge up basically. So I had a little bit of money. My producer, who's a lifelong friend of mine, Daniel Peppers, who if you see the IMDb credits, he's all over there too.
Yes.
He's basically our 2-man crew, along with my brother Daniel. But we scrounged up a little bit of money, and the way I did some of the bigger chunks, like paying for like the mask and some of the bigger cost. The mask was the biggest cost of all, but is basically I did how would you describe this? Company credits at the end of the film. So I used to work for a company called Southern RV. They sold RVs, and I said, "Hey, I'll put your company logo in there with some information in it if you give me this X amount of dollars to make this little Bigfoot film." And my boss went for it. So it was great. And then I did it
Nice.
for another company as well. So basically I was just saying, hey, this movie's going to be out there. It's probably going to get distribution. Here's, a minimal amount to get your company on it's a great, advertising opportunity for them. And it helps me raise my budget. So that's kind of how I raised that meager little budget we had. So.
And what do you think that budget was, if you don't mind?
I had it added up. It's on my IMDb. It was less than $5,000 for sure.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It was. I think it's on IMDb. I don't know. It was. I want to say it was like around $4,000, something like that.
Okay.
And the mask itself was $1,000. So that just
Oh,
gives you an
wow.
idea. And then you're not even talking about food and camera equipment, and yeah, it was meager.
And is the mask an original, or did you find it through like a store or something?
So I found it through the base mask was, I can't remember what they called it, but I think it was Immortal Masks is the company. If you look them up, they do a fantastic job. But I basically reworked everything. They used to have a generic mask that didn't have any hair on it. The color scheme was different, and it was like some kind of like goblin or ghoul or something like that. And I kind of messaged them and say, hey, is there any way we could kind of add this like patchy hair? And I kind of drew a rough drawing of kind of where I want it. And I was like, can we change the skin tone and the gums to be like human and vibrant pink? And they were super accommodating, super nice, very responsive. And so it is a custom mask based off basically one of their base models.
Okay. Kind of like the Michael Myers mask.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. And we'll stick with the Bigfoot for a second here. How did you kind of go down? Because his mask isn't just the head; it goes down, and it's like on his chest and shoulders.
Yeah, so it goes down about right here. So it's like a cowl, almost like a Batman cowl. It goes all the way back down your neck. So you get a little bit of chest. The shoulders are completely covered. The neck articulates really well and lifelike, and then of course the full head's covered. And you can only see out of one eye.
Yeah, he's got all those bumps. Yeah. And so how was that for the actor?
Well, I was the actor one day for that too. Another funny scene. So the scene, I guess if we're doing spoilers at this point, the scene where the last girl is attacked in the tent, and she runs out and gets shot. I had to play Bigfoot in that scene, and you'll see the difference. My brother played Bigfoot almost the entire time, and I think he was sick that weekend, and it was the only availability for that actress to be there. And I was like, you know what? I'll just act and direct. I was like, oh, no big deal. You can't hear anything in the mask. You can only see out of one eye. So I'm trying to look at the camera, my camera, make sure that everything's in focus. It was like 95 degrees in Georgia and hot, and I was literally, sweat was pouring out of the hands. I was trying to act and remember like what the scene was and how to do everything. It was a nightmare. And then trying to, see out of the one eye, and your depth perception's off. So I'm bumping into trees and tripping over myself. And yeah, it wasn't easy. But yeah, and you'll notice in the scene as I'm attacking her, the Bigfoot's eye color changes. So I've got like green, brownish eyes. My brother has blue. So there's a very definite change you'll see just for a second, and then
but it's not a normal Bigfoot, so eye color may not be, he may not have a constant eye color.
Yeah, he's mutated, or he's who knows what's going on with him. So,
and how did you make his coat? Like, what was all that, the stuff that looks like moss and everything?
Yeah, so the coat was a combination. The first thing is like a furry shawl, like an old 1800s shawl, like an old lady would wear in England. And then underneath that was a really cheap ghillie suit, which is basically what military snipers wear. And it's like a camo netting that they'll weave, sticks and twigs and leaves into. And then underneath that is the actual mechanics coveralls. So it was a little bit of just random, hey, maybe he had found this stuff in the woods and he was trying to make a suit out of it, basically.
Well, he needs to keep warm. So
he needs to be able to hide. So the ghillie suit kind of makes sense. He doesn't want to be seen.
Sure.
So, yeah.
Hence why we haven't captured one or anything like that, because he's in this suit. He just kind of hides. And then when people leave, he just gets up and runs, and they get that blurry picture of him.
Yeah.
So, I could totally see that. And was Fred always on the mechanic suit, or was that something that you guys added?
No, that's something. Oh, sorry. My Adobe's trying to update. No, that's something we actually added. I just had like a little patch made and we sewed it on. That was added after the fact. It was just, I thought, a funny thing that kind of people, kind of like you said, like, is that really his name? Is that just, was it on there in the first place? And it also, like, in the credits, you'll see Bigfoot/Fred next to his name. So it just kind of gives him like, it's another funny kind of joke to me, is like my Bigfoot's called Fred.
Yeah. And then he had the hands with like the long kind of like claws on them. Yeah. So that was just some cheap hands. We actually originally had wanted to buy these really nice articulate claws from the same company we got the mask for, but they were like $850 just for the little. Yeah. And I was like, well, that's like over half our budget basically. So I can't afford those. So we got some little $30 ones, and we hand glued on some fur over the top of it, because it was usually just a straight rubber piece. So we just, I don't know, we made everything. And what were the hands for? Like what was the description when you bought them?
I can't remember what the description was. I almost say it just said like rubber monster gloves
hands or something.
Like yeah, it wasn't Bigfoot specific. It was just like monster hands.
And then the feet were kind of like gorilla feet.
Yeah, they were just gorilla feet, and the completely different color and everything. But I kind of liked the look of them. I thought, I haven't seen many Bigfoot movies where they have a gorilla type foot. So
yeah, it's normally just the long human foot is what they more or less look like. Yeah. So those were different.
Unique is the key word, I guess, is what I was going for on everything.
Yes, I completely agree with that. And now be detailed on these next like few questions here. So
sure.
What was your production time like? I'm sorry, what was your pre-production time like?
Pre-production time. So I write scripts really fast. The script from idea to when it was finished, I'd say I finished it to a final script form in about 3 weeks. As far as casting goes, I'd actually worked with the older guy in the film. Joel Rogers is his real name. He was actually in the music of Erick Wofford. I don't know if you noticed that. he's the same dude. He's Eric Zahn, old grown up. But anyways,
oh, okay,
yeah, same actor. So he's like, anytime after we did the Zahn together, he's like, anytime you do a project and you have something that might fit for me, I'm in. Super nice guy, super talented. And then I met a couple of the other actors, and then, as you know, in the movie, I had to play a part because one of the actors bailed the last minute. I was in the hammock scene, so that was me. But yeah, so I'd say as far as actual pre-production time and as far as casting and kind of getting the locations, everything, that was probably over 3 months roughly. At that point, I was working for Southern RV. I wasn't in the film industry full time, so it was kind of like working on the weekend whenever I could. So it would have went quicker than that if I was still in film and be able to work on that more consistently. Right.
And then what about the production time for filming?
Production time. So this kind of a funny story. So we shot basically the film backwards, and I'll tell you why. I have a weird thing that's going on in all my films now. I'm noticing and it's not my fault or anyone's on the crew's fault, but our main actress becomes pregnant after our first few days and is not able to finish the film, and it's not anyone's fault in the crew. There's nothing crazy going on. But it happened on Splatterpunk and it happened on this. So our main actress that was supposed to be the same actress, she got pregnant. So basically we had to shoot right at the end of the fall before it was kind of getting cold out. And I was like, hey, we'll get back together in the spring and just knock it out in a week straight. She's like, great. So about February came around and she's like, yeah, I realized I'm pregnant. I'm not going to be able to probably be able to finish the film. So I had to rewrite her part. Jordan Phipps is her name. She's the girl at the very end that has the Bigfoot's baby, basically. She was supposed to be the same character as the girl that was in the tent attacked. But she wasn't going to be killed. So that's kind of why that split up, and she was later... she escaped basically his little cave or his lair. So that's kind of why it ended up being about a 1.5 year shoot, because we waited about 6 months for this actress, and then she became pregnant, had to recast, rewrite her scenes, and then finish everything else. So I'd say as far as production time, 1.5 years total. Just because we would shoot on the weekends and then, figuring out the whole pregnancy situation. For the second time now.
Yeah. Man. And that, but it works though. It works with the separate girls. So
yeah.
Because once the girl who's in the tent gets killed, it's like, oh, I guess that's not the bride. So
right. Yeah, we basically we made a separate character and chopped that character up between two and had one die and then the other one get discovered. That's how we kind of got around that, because we actually shot the escape, her jumping in the river and swimming away and Bigfoot trying to catch her, and then the baby's foot or the hand, that was all shot first, and then we were going to go back and do the scenes before that. And then when she became pregnant, I was like, well you can't go back now I got to rewrite all this. So that's kind of why. And I'm glad you didn't notice that it wasn't supposed to be that way.
No, not at all. I did feel sorry for Fred when she's in the river and he's like, come back. I'm like, oh no, he just wants a friend. He's misunderstood. Yeah, totally misunderstood. Yeah. And even though he does kill people and he's rapey and stuff like that, he's still just, he just wants to be loved.
Yeah. I will say though, anytime he kills someone, he's provoked. And I've made a very clear, if you think about it, there's a clear thought behind that. He's always provoked. He's always being attacked.
Yes, because he did not kill the fisherman.
Right.
He took the heads from the fish, because if he killed the fisherman, then he wouldn't get more fish. Right. And the fisherman was just doing his thing. Yeah, he wasn't afraid of him or anything. And then Fred went up and took the heads of the fish.
Only when he's angry and provoked does he actually try to harm anybody.
Interesting.
Or murder. I'll say murder anybody.
Interesting. Okay. And then what was your post-production like?
Post-production, I had that edited and put together. So I was kind of doing it as soon as we shot one scene, I would kind of go ahead and put that scene together into an edit. So I'd say, 6 months it was put together, but that wasn't a consistent since 6 months. That was like shooting her first scenes, putting that together over a weekend or two, and then waiting and then putting the next scene together. So it went pretty quickly.
Okay. And the when you're working with like the color grading and all that type of stuff, did you actually say like, I want this to be blue, I want this to be, because like Bigfoot's POV, I think it was what, purple, blue, red?
Yeah, like reddish pinkish. Yeah.
Yeah. So were those intentional colors, or is that just the colors that happen to pop up?
So Bigfoot's vision was actually a result of just me experimenting. I knew I didn't want to do the predator infrared overdone, monster vision. I want to do something kind of different. So that's a combination of me just playing around with different colors, especially in the environment. There was already a lot of green from the foliage, a lot of blues, a lot of browns. So it's just kind of matching what kind of vibrancies would play well off of that. And then also in that Bigfoot vision, it's a little bit of a fisheye too, because he's only got the one eye.
Right.
So I kind of made it a fisheye and like a one eye looking at you. As far as the rest of the stuff that's not Bigfoot vision, that was just experimenting. I just wanted that high contrast, Super 8 film look, basically.
And what about locations? How did you find your locations?
Yeah, so the locations, it was a hodgepodge of things. A lot of the stuff was shot up in North Georgia mountains, and I knew of those locations because my family and I have always vacationed up in the mountains when I was young, and we loved to trout fish, so I knew really pretty scenic rivers that were decently accessible off of a highway that we could get to, and no one was really going to be around. And then a lot of stuff like Bigfoot's lair and the tent was actually shot in central Georgia. And the reason I know about that location is it was an old Christmas tree farm that had shut down, and it's just kind of been left, just kind of bare. And I knew the property owners because I actually shot some of this stuff from Splatterpunk at that location earlier. So I knew they were kind of open to whatever. And a side note to this that's pretty funny is when we were doing the scene where Bigfoot's trying to spear the fish, it was in the dead of summer, and during that time of year, people love to tube down that river. So what we had to do, and it was only two of us that day. It was my brother who plays Bigfoot and me just filming. Is we would have to wait for the tuber. We heard the tubers coming down the hill, and there was like a bend in the river, and then he would have been exposed straight out there in a full Bigfoot costume.
Oh, that would have been so good.
I know, it was tempting, and I was like, all right. So he'd have to kind of like shuffle his way to the side of the bank and kind of hide, wait for them to pass, and then kind of go back out there and do his thing again. But we were having to dodge all these little kids with their families, So
that would have been great if there were tubing down there and then just straight in front of them is just this big Bigfoot type thing sitting out there.
Yeah,
I mean, that would have been amazing.
I know, and the current's so strong there, even if you jumped out of your tube, you would have still been forced to come right past them. So it would have been terrifying to anybody who would have seen it. So
I think that would have been great.
Next film.
Yeah. I think, well, there's a scene right there for you in part two. So yeah. I mean, pardon me. So there's two guys at the beginning of the film. So now we'll kind of get more into what happens in the film. Sure. So there's the hunters at the beginning, and one of the guys I've seen it before, and so I like that it's the ladder where you could sit on it, and I guess you could see deer and all that from there. What is that called?
Deer. It's just called a deer stand.
Deer stand. Okay, so you got the one guy up there.
That's what I call it. Mm-hmm.
Well, it makes sense. Yeah. And then you got the older guy who goes off, and I guess that he's kind of hiding, and they have the walkie-talkies. So in that scene, I found it funny that they could hear the noises of Fred, but then Fred comes in on the walkie-talkie.
So yeah, that's an idea I kind of played with. I had taken it from another short script I'd written a long time ago, and it was basically these two hunters, and they were getting this weird static coming over their walkie-talkies, couldn't quite figure it out. One of the hunters all of a sudden screams and starts shooting. The walkie-talkie goes silent, and the other hunters kind of just left waiting in the twilight, not knowing what had just happened to his friend. So that's kind of where that idea came from. Bigfoot is not talking over the radio, but for some reason he's having some kind of static of his voice is interacting with electronics and kind of
okay.
Yeah, and I'm not saying why that's happening. Who knows why? Who knows? But yeah, that's kind of the idea behind it. It's just a creepy situation. If you'd be in that situation, I just kind of was thinking, because I used to hunt a little bit when I was younger, and being in a deer stand, it's already kind of creepy and dark. You're left on your own, and if you heard some kind of weird voice coming over the walkie-talkie, and your dad screams and starts shooting, and you don't hear back, that'd just be a horrifying situation.
So it's him talking from just the forest or the woods. That's distorting the guy's walkie-talkie. Right. And then because he's like, get out of my woods type of thing. Yeah. And then when he's going to kill the dad, the son is hearing the voice. Right. Over the walkie-talkie. Okay. I was hoping Fred had a walkie-talkie that he just kind of kept in his coat, and he's like, oh, look, get out, channel 6,
Yeah. He doesn't like them. He stomps it. So, he doesn't like electronics apparently. So.
Now, that's true. Yeah. And so are they out hunting Fred, or are they just like deer hunting?
No, they're just out there hunting, completely unaware he's out there. And they just happen to, and as before, he doesn't attack anyone until he's shot at by the older hunter, who is my dad, actually. That's my dad playing the older hunter. But he's not attacked. He doesn't attack anyone until he's shot at by the hunter. So.
Okay. Which makes sense. And then he goes after the son. Right. And just because he's, because he's part of that type of thing. Right.
He's got a gun and he's been shot shot at. So he's just ticked off and scared. So.
Okay. And then that's where we get a lot of Bigfoot POV. And that's the purple, blue, or red, pinkish type of colors. Yep. And then we see clouds, and those clouds are all different colors. They do not look like normal clouds at all. Would these things be these type of colors because of Fred, or like where Fred comes from? If he can mess up a walkie-talkie, does he also mess up clouds and stuff like that?
I don't think so. Although that's an interesting idea that maybe we can delve into in the next script. But no, I think that's just the way he sees the world. I don't think he's distorting anything as far as the clouds or the fauna goes. That's just his vision.
So when we see those clouds that are all different colors, that's kind of Fred's point of view.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, they would, like, if we saw it through the hunter's POV, it would just be normal. Just be like a white cloud or something. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm. And then that goes to the scene of the gentleman fishing. And now this is a kind of a long scene of him fishing and casting and taking the fish, and Fred's watching him and all of that. Yeah. Why is that scene a little bit longer than probably what somebody would make it?
In my mind, it was a way to kind of disarm the audience and kind of slow things down and kind of like, oh, this is a peaceful fishing scene. And, there's birds chirping and there's a guy just peacefully trout fishing and walking to the river. And oh crap, he's back. He's watching. So it was just a way to kind of, and also a way to show that Bigfoot's not just attacking these people randomly. He's just watching. He only attacks when he's provoked. So that was just kind of reinforcing that idea a little bit, and also showing kind of what a day-to-day life of Bigfoot would be. How is he eating? Oh, he's just eating scraps left behind by people, eating the fish heads and moping around, because he's ugly, and seeing himself in the river and all that kind of stuff.
Well, I was about to say that, yeah, because he looks down at the river at one point and goes, hideous. And then he finds the clown mask that he puts on. And then he says, beautiful. Yeah. So that's why there is this kind of disconnect between like Fred and the voice. Was that intentional too? Because I really liked it.
It was and it wasn't. So basically, I voiced Fred and just did a whole bunch of editing with the voice modulation and all that kind of stuff. And I knew I was going to do that in post, not live, obviously. So it is a little off to a certain degree, but like you said before, you don't really see clear articulation of the mouth moving. So you can kind of get away with it, maybe not perfectly matching what the mouth is doing.
And yeah, I really enjoyed all that. And do you think it would work without it? Like if he didn't talk at all, it was just grunts and groans. Do you think it'd be the same thing?
I think it would, and I think that is one negative I've heard is like, oh, he talks, and you could have kind of got away with it. I like it. I personally like that he talks, but I do think the acting was animated enough that you kind of probably could have caught on that he was upset and what he was thinking without talking. I just liked that he talked.
Was the talking afterwards, like you were editing it and you're like, oh, maybe he could talk, or was that in the script?
So it wasn't a script. There was actually more scenes of him talking that I took out. So there's a lot of scenes where he's walking around that, I was like, you know what? He doesn't really need to be talking here. He can you kind of know what he's saying without having him to just, exponentially just say it to the camera, basically.
Yeah. So he's just kind of walking around the woods, just thinking like, I wonder what the war in Iraq, that type of like, he's just really kind of, to be or not to be,
Yeah, he's very highbrow.
Yeah. He may not look like it. So that's why we shouldn't judge.
Right. Exactly.
Because, we're not seeing on the other side of his kind of like cabin cave that he has like Shakespeare, Stephen King, Tolstoy, there's all of these. He has this whole shelf of Orson Welles DVDs, probably for him, it'd be VHS, but
probably.
Yeah. So don't judge out there.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so then he starts watching this young girl. And by the way, Fred has excellent taste in women because they're all beautiful.
Yeah.
And so he's got great taste. And so he watches this woman who's up there. She's had some sort of issue with her like boyfriend, I guess, who's cheated on her. And who's the boyfriend? Because he was funny. Come on, baby. You're not going to find anybody better than me.
It was me again.
Oh,
that's low budget problems. You got to voice everything. That was me. I was just trying to be as sleazy and annoying and just grating as possible. So I'm glad I nailed it. So the character, the woman, she decides to go camping instead of like hitting a bar or hanging out with her friends. Like camping is like her release or something. Yeah, well, it is, but as you kind of know, she's a little more depressed than we originally think. So my mind is it's less that she's camping and more that she's having suicidal thoughts and she's trying to get away from everybody to kind of just, be able to kind of debate on whether she wants to off herself or not. I don't. Okay,
yeah, because she's got the gun.
Enjoyment.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because it's funny is that she puts up the tent and everything. She walks a little bit away and then she like hangs this like kind of like blanket so nobody could see her. But there's still 3 other sides too that could see her.
Yeah, she's not in her right mind. Who knows?
And then of course we have a scene that I would think would be kind of notorious with the film where Fred's hand goes underneath her while she's peeing. And he takes it and smells it. Is that like a scent type of thing? Like he's like kind of like a dog would do or something like that?
Yes. So that is his animalistic side kind of taking over. And he is, she's maybe ovulating. She's maybe just past ovulating. That's him kind of being like, oh, okay. She's ready. Or she may be ready for me. Who knows?
Okay. Maybe she might be my bride because she tosses her engagement ring, and Fred finds it, and he's trying to get that nerve up to give it back to her.
Yeah,
and he's almost rehearsing, kind of giving it back.
That's
to
one of my personal favorite parts, is him trying to get up the nerve to go talk to her.
Yeah, because he's got to be careful, because he's hideous.
Yeah.
So, so she might think the same thing unless he's wearing the clown mask and then he's beautiful.
The clown mask, she'll fall for that, you know.
Yeah, because a lot of women date clowns.
Yeah.
Boom. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Nice.
Thank you.
Nice.
Thank you. Does Fred smell like Bigfoot would? Like, do you have those Bigfoot traits with him?
That's a good question. I think he probably does, but just in the matter of him being out in the woods, not necessarily like your typical, like a lot of the encounters with supposed Bigfoot. He's got this hideous smell, and you smell him before you see him or sense him. I think he's just smelly just because he's outdoors, but also he's constantly in the river fishing. So maybe he doesn't get an overwhelming smell like a traditional Bigfoot would.
Smells more like the woods type of thing, like all of a sudden the smell of whatever the woods would be would kind of come up on you because and then he likes this, like, it's a stuffed gorilla.
Yeah,
is what she has.
Yes, yeah. So she has a little stuffed animal, and basically he doesn't differentiate that that's not a real animal. So that's why he's so concerned that she is aggressive with it, and he thinks
he doesn't like that.
He thinks it's a little baby Bigfoot. He's like, whoa, okay, I really like this girl now. She hangs out with little baby Bigfoots, and then she wrenches the head off and throws it, and that's why he kind of has that little meltdown, thinking she just, the love of his life, just killed a little baby Bigfoot. But then he realizes, oh, okay, this isn't real, and he kind of goes back to his flirtations. So
yeah, because he even waves at it, because he thinks that it's like a real thing. So
yeah,
because that's what he wants to do with her. He wants, that's his bride, and he wants to have a little baby gorilla or Bigfoot type of thing with her.
Yeah.
So
he just wants a family.
Yeah, just like everybody else. He's just like all of us. He'd be in like People magazine, and they always have like, stars are just like us. This would be Fred, Bigfoot, just like us. And you see him bathing, and he'd be out there like eating a fish head, and Fred even likes sushi. So I could see that.
Yeah.
And then she changes, and he takes her clothes. And he tries to put on the shorts.
Yeah.
But of course they don't fit.
No.
And he has the shirt that he plays with for a little bit. And like how I would imagine with what we see later with some of the women, I mean, how many women come up into that area that go hiking? It's got to kind of be far and in between, right?
Yeah, I don't think it's a lot. I think usually the women he finds are usually camping with their husband, boyfriend, friends, whatever, and they get separated, and someone attacks Bigfoot, and then he ends up just kind of collecting these women, trying to convince them that he's a good guy, he's a good husband. So
yeah, he wants to be a provider because, like you mentioned, he's got the pole and he's sticking it in the river for the fish, and he's yelling, "Die!" I love his voice. Like his voice
very
is
Frankenstein,
Yeah. And one of the things I like is, because you mentioned like, kind of like a day in the life of Bigfoot, is I do really like the shot of the cameras in the middle of the road, and Fred is here, and he just kind of walks across the road and disappears into the trees, because that's what you always hear with Bigfoot, with people. They're like, we were driving down the road at night and he popped up over here, and then he just walked across the road and went down there. And so I like that a lot. And it's just a cool looking shot too. It's very simple and straightforward. And at times that's the best.
Yeah.
It's not moving in on him or being crazy. It's very simple, just him walking across the road.
Right.
And I also liked him at the waterfall drinking.
Yeah.
I like that he enjoys like the cool, fresh waterfall taste.
Yeah.
Not like a muddy lake or something. He's got almost like bottled water type of stuff.
Yeah, he has standards, and they must be met. So
yes, and then waterfall water is one of them.
Yeah.
And then he wants to give the ring back to the girl, and then we have he's devastated when she destroys the stuff, the gorilla, and I was very sad for him, and I thought that kind of sucked. And then the woman, she's trying to kill herself, and he's like, no, don't do that. And because maybe she accepted him, he would make a good husband. Who knows? I mean, she could hang out up there and maybe live her life up there.
Yeah. Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, she might be good at catching fish and chopping wood and maybe
Yeah.
eating people. Maybe they could become cannibals and start eating people. Oh,
Yeah.
so what does Fred eat besides fish? Is he vegetarian or does he eat like other animals?
I think he eats other animals. He does not eat humans though.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a deer, squirrel, things like that.
Squirrel, whatever roadkill he can get a hold of or trap or capture on his own. It's fair game to him. But no, I don't. He doesn't eat people.
Yeah, because he tries to talk to them and be nice to them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I can see that. And then there's trailer little bug. Wait a minute. Let's say if I just steps on the grass. Oh, so then there's the trailer where I wrote trailer thinking it was a film trailer where like these like two kind of, I don't want to call them rednecks. I don't think that's, but I guess country guys, trying to be, but they're hanging out in this trailer. Yeah. And would that be from the company that you worked for?
Yeah. Yeah. So that was another reason I kind of asked them. We had this trailer that you could fold up and it was super lightweight. You could move it around. And then I was like, it'd be great. They had this kind of corner section of the lot that had woods around it. And I was like, if we just shot at this perfect angle, you won't see that there's buildings behind us and houses behind us. And we can kind of move this trailer around. And they're like, yeah, do what you want with it. So,
yeah, it's perfect. It looks like it's right out there in the woods. You would never know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I'm going to guess that where Fred goes and he's down by the campfire, and there's the garbage and all that. Mm-hmm. That's probably not. Is that in the same location?
Same location. We could not look behind us and could not look to the right because there's all houses and buildings and cars. But anything in this angle, we were good to go. So,
okay.
Yeah.
And I always got from that scene that the reason why Fred gets mad at them is because they're litter bugs. They left trash all around.
Yeah, they left a bunch of trash around and broken bottles, and yeah, he doesn't appreciate that.
No, that's rude. Yeah. And I like how, he grabs out the one guy, but then the one guy stays and he's got like the sweatpants that say Army.
Yeah.
And I thought that was kind of funny, is like, wow, if he's supposed to be like an army guy, that he just hides and cowers from Bigfoot while his friend gets killed.
Well, he's just like a secretary in the army. He's not,
Oh, there you go. That explains a lot.
Yeah.
So, and then of course he gets chased off. Bigfoot attacks him, and then he runs through the woods. Yeah. And but they actually hear him because Fred steps on glass twice and hurts his feet.
Yeah.
So no wonder he gets so angry.
Yeah. Again, he doesn't do anything unless he's provoked. So.
Yeah. And let's see how you decide to pick. So here's it's not part of the film, but I did a little asterisk next to this. I wrote, how did you decide to pick what scenes or shots to have the film like jump, bad sound, etc.?
So a lot of times it was just a way to get from one scene to the other without having to feel like you had to do some dramatic fade in and fade out. And for that style of film, I felt it was already, crawled out of the grindhouse, as the people described it. You didn't have to be cute and make it a perfect seamless transition to the next scene. You could just say, oh, the film, was burning up right here. So we cut to the next scene, or the VHS started eating the tape. So we cut to this scene. Now it's just, the thought behind it, just to keep with that theme, basically.
So did you see anything like this scene will work, but this scene won't? Like, oh, I like that sun. Let's put like a scratch in the film by the sun, or, well, that tree, it's not going to work with that tree.
Yeah. So every scene we shot, we kind of just edited it per scene. Like, okay, what can we do as far as color in this scene? What makes sense? Does this need to have some random VHS snow in it to enhance it? Does it look beautiful kind of how it is? A lot of the shots, especially at the river, were just beautiful even before we color corrected. So we kind of left those alone. So yeah, we kind of played with it scene by scene. And there were a lot of scenes that we shot a lot of day for night that we had an issue with, because a lot of times we would accidentally pan up and you would see the sun. And then if you're trying to to correct that, you can make it look like the moon, but then you'll darken everything else below it way too much where you can't see anything going on. So there's a couple of shots we kind of had to chop up and move around and mess.
Oh, that's a good reason to do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost kind of like found footage. You know, if you screw up something or whatever, you just do a sudden cut.
Yeah.
You know, and then you just go, oh, it's found footage. You know, that's
exactly.
you know, when really it's like, no, there was a car in the scene when there shouldn't have been. Yeah. So it's okay. And then now you had said Fred does not eat people, but when he's at the trailer, he does say, I'm going to eat you.
I think that's more of a threat to kind of get them to come out of the trailer.
Okay.
He's just talking trash.
Okay. Fred talk, you know.
Yeah. Exactly.
No, that's just Fred talk. Don't worry about it. He won't eat you. He's a nice guy. And this is when the young woman meets the old guy who's kind of walking around, I guess, trying to find now he's not trying to find Fred, he's just trying to find like a murderer. Like he doesn't know about Bigfoot.
Yeah, he doesn't know. He has a bit of a backstory, and I'd have to go back and read more into what I had him set up. But basically, his backstory is he's had family or family members murdered in those woods, and he doesn't know it's Fred. He just knows someone's out here, and he's on the hunt to bring his own form of revenge to whoever is responsible. And this girl is out there, on her own, completely unaware that there's a murderer running around. So he's kind of like, hey, you need to scram, but then he realizes it's nighttime. He's like, well, maybe you better stay here and I'll kind of stay close by and try to protect you, basically. So he's just hunting for whoever killed his family.
And he's not being creepy at all. I mean, I didn't get that. No, maybe she might think of it because he's like, hey, you want me to hang out? And so she's like, eh. But he's not trying to be creepy.
No, he's not creepy. He's genuinely concerned for whoever is out there that, and he's trying to keep a vigilant eye and figure out where this murderer is.
Okay.
Yeah, he has good intentions.
Okay, good. And then that goes kind of back to the guy who's at the one guy with the army sweats at the trailer, and he gets nice and gutted. Yeah. By Fred, and two things here. Fred knows how to swear because he does say "fuck you," but then there's also a fair amount of visual blood, like CGI blood in there.
Yep.
So why CGI blood instead of practical?
Budgetary reasons again. So we did have a homemade blood rig. That day we had a 3-man crew, but the issue with it is you use like CO2 canisters to basically force the blood out. And there was a leak in the box that you connect to, and there wasn't enough pressure to push the fake blood out. So basically what we had to do is we had enough fake blood to cover his kind of guts and stuff, and also kind of like have it on the hands and him spitting it up and on the ground. But we kind of, after the fact, we're able to add in this kind of super cheesy, off the wall, almost cartoon blood. And that, again, it was just a way. It was a way to, we didn't have the budget. What can we do to kind of keep with the style of the film, but also kind of be funny, but also kind of still get a little bit more blood in there.
Yeah, I appreciate the CGI blood. I like it. I've seen it in a few films now, and I think it's just how it's done. Yeah. Sometimes it's not done very well, but in this case, I thought that it was done quite well. I liked it a lot. I mean, you mentioned that the film is kind of like a comedy. I think maybe the reason why I didn't think it was a comedy is I felt it was more like a comic book, because you just mentioned, like a cartoon, is I felt it was more like a comic book. Yeah. And comic books aren't necessarily funny, but they do have the vivid colors and things like that. So I think I saw it more as a comic book than so, which works for me. Hopefully it works for you. Yeah,
no, that's fine. I'm just glad you enjoyed it. So.
And then that's when the hunter tells the woman to leave, and she's like, I will. And he's like, no, do it in the morning, which I thought was kind of funny, because he's like, you got to get out of here, but in the morning. Yeah. Stay here now and leave in 6 hours. Right. And then that cuts to the director in a tent hammock reading Conspiracies and Secret Societies with sunglasses on at night.
Yeah.
So what's that all about?
So that was originally not supposed to be me. Our actor backed out at the last minute, and we already had people on the way. And I was like, you know what? I'll just sit in there and then do this little scene. And the idea is this guy's just kind of a pothead, so to say, and he's just kind of relaxing out in the hammock and smoking and kind of having a good old time. And he's a little paranoid, so he's reading his conspiracies, and and then Bigfoot ends up finding him. So So
was it like a hammock tent? Because it wasn't like a normal hammock.
No, so basically this is what's called a jungle hammock, and basically what it is you have the hammock where you like lay down in it, and then it has 3 mesh walls that keep insects out, and then you can kind of tie these off to different trees, so it's kind of up above your head. You're not confined, and it's just like it's kind of cool. Yeah, it's like a little tent hammock thing. It's just really nice.
I kind of rewound it back to look at it. I'm like, oh, cool. I should get one of those. I've never seen something like that before.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah, I've had it for forever, and I was like, this would be great to just take out and use in this scene. And it's kind of creepy, and he's so exposed out there in a hammock, you'd really be screwed if Bigfoot wanted to get you. So.
Well, at times I wonder in these films, like, why would a guy reading this conspiracy book with sunglasses, smoking pot, be out in the middle of the woods in this hammock? Like, why not just stay at home and do it, or be in your backyard?
That's a good question. I think he just enjoys being outside, and then in Georgia, marijuana is not legal, so he's got to go way out in the middle of nowhere.
Oh, okay.
Get caught. So yeah. I don't know.
All right. Okay.
Pattern, I guess.
All right. Well, then that makes sense. And then, Fred goes in and just beats him to death with this. With his fists, and then you drop to the ground. So,
with some Three Stooges type sound effects on the hitting.
Yeah, and it's now I do like the conspiracy book because I think it matches with Bigfoot.
Yeah, it's kind of a tongue-in-cheek moment. Yeah, it kind of works with the character and also kind of with the whole theme of the movie, and especially as you're talking about that little hidden post-credit scene. It kind of makes more and more sense why he's reading that book. So. Yeah,
and some people might have done a Bigfoot book, and which I think would have been just too over the top, too on the nose. So it's nice that it's a conspiracies and secret societies book. So you can somewhere in there would probably be Bigfoot anyways, the Loch Ness Monster, UFOs, all that stuff. So
you can read into it for sure.
Oh, definitely. And getting through these here. Then we have the young woman rejects Bigfoot. Bigfoot is pissed off. He does not like that at all. So he rips her tongue out.
Yeah.
Wow.
She won't stop screaming. She's gonna give him away. He's just trying to be nice. She's gonna attract the attention of that old hunter who's around.
Oh yeah. So. And which he does here. So because he comes back.
Yep.
And with the tongue, which I thought was funny, there's more of the CGI blood that shoots out. A lot of it. And the hunter comes back and shoots, but accidentally hits the young woman instead as she comes out the front. Is that you coming out of the back?
Bigfoot?
Yeah.
That day, no. So all the scenes up until the point that he actually burst out of the tent, that was me ripping the tongue out and kind of wrestling with her and zipping up the tent while the old guy was coming around. That was all me. And then we actually shot a pickup day of him bursting out of the tent and doing the whole shooting scene with the older actor, Joel.
And that was your brother is Fred?
Right. Yeah.
So we're back to the brother. Mm-hmm. Okay. And when Fred runs away, he laughs evilly.
Yeah, he's got a little bit of a dark side for sure. I wouldn't say he's completely innocent, but hopefully you feel a little bit of sympathy at points for him, but he kind of crosses the line there.
Yeah, I don't think like he's laughing at the woman. He's laughing at the hunter because it's like, idiot, you just shot the wrong person.
Yeah, and I
So,
just escaped. Yeah.
yeah. And but also with what is exactly, so on the young woman, he grabs her back and he like pulls like a piece off, and then it's kind of, there's something that's pumping in the back. What's that?
I'm trying to remember specifically. You're talking about where he slashes her back?
Yeah. Then he like sees her, but there looks like there's something that's pumping. Like a heart or something, but it can't be a heart. It's too.
Huh. I'm actually not sure what that would be.
Unless
Pumping
maybe,
on her?
yeah. What did see if I wrote it down here? No, I did not. I just put that she dies. A back wound. Well, maybe it just looks like it's pumping. It looks like it was something that was kind of doing this in her back. I'm like, oh, what is that? But it's nice and bloody, so that's fine. And then
I think honestly, maybe what it was her reaction, just her acting. When he slashes, she kind of pushes her shoulder.
Oh,
up
she's moving it around.
Out.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So maybe that's what it was. Yeah.
Okay. That would make sense then.
Yeah.
And then the hunter finds Fred's house or his cave. Is it a house in a cave, or cave in a house? Or
it's not really said. So we couldn't really find a cave that really worked. So basically, the actual physical real location was just an extension of a shed, and we kind of just shot this corner instead of showing there's actually a nice prefab shed attached to it. But yeah, it's just his ramshackle thing he's found or built. Maybe it's old moonshining den. Who knows?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And the hunter finds two women, and one of them is pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
So it's so now would she, the pregnant one, would that be Bigfoot's bride?
Yes, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And was her pregnancy, was it consented? Did she give Fred the okay to do that?
No, I don't think so.
No.
So she runs off pretty quickly after she's released.
That's true. Which
is not the same actress. Some trivia. That's not the same actress that's in the cave versus the one who's at the end of the film, because the one at the end of the film was pregnant and I'm unable to shoot. So we doubled her with another actress.
Oh, I didn't even notice that there was a difference.
Perfect. Right.
Wow. Well, and Fred's got one strike against him because he did get her pregnant, and if it was, she did not consent to that, that's a strike.
No, I know he's got his issues, that's for sure.
I mean, he's good in other areas, but okay, he's got the one.
Yeah.
And that's when we see the name badge on him that says Fred, and which I thought was funny. Fred gets shot by the hunter. Yep. And there's a second woman there that escapes with the hunter. Mm-hmm. And but Bigfoot eventually kills the hunter with an axe in the head. Mm-hmm. More CGI blood, which was awesome. Yep. And then throws the axe and kills the second woman. He is a good shot at these things. I mean, for a guy with one eye, I mean, that's pretty good that he can throw that axe that far and hit her right in the back.
Yeah, well, I think he's hunting. He's hunting animals that way, so he's got good practice.
He hits her right in the back with the axe, but yet he can't get a fish in the water.
Right. Yeah.
His
depth perception is off. I don't know.
Yeah. Maybe the reflection on the water messed them all up.
Yeah.
And that was the problem. And then let's see. So then Bigfoot chases the first woman, who's the pregnant one, and then she goes down the river. And that's when Fred sadly says, please, stop, please don't leave me. And I got a little tear in my eye that went all the way down. It was very sad. And, maybe it's one of those things like in all movies where there's that misunderstanding. And if they just would have taken that second to explain it, mm-hmm. the movie would be done. But, at least, their relationship would be okay. And maybe that would be the same way with her and Fred. So instead, she's just going down that river. And then the second woman gives birth to something that looks like maybe it's like a baby Bigfoot.
Yep.
So now, would it actually be a Bigfoot, or would it be more of like a Fred, or like a combination? I guess it would have to be part human, right?
Yeah. So that one would definitely be a combination of whatever Fred is. So whoever, whatever the audience thinks Fred is, it can combine with a human. So whether that's a Bigfoot human, just a messed up looking, disfigured human, I don't know. but it's not happy.
Well, and that's where the film ends. Boom,
Yeah.
cut to credits. So we are definitely on a cliffhanger here. And then there becomes the Bigfoot's Bride theme song during the end credits, which when I looked at the credits for the song, seems to definitely be a family band. So how did the song come together?
So that was so my family, at least my dad and my brother, have always been very musically inclined. I always tried over the years. I didn't have the patience to stick with the instruments. So I just never was able to do that. But I just thought, man, it'd be really funny if we. Let me digress a little bit. So, maybe we should get into this a little bit later as far as influences on the film. But one of the influences on the film is a classic called The Legend of Boggy Creek.
Oh, love that film. Yeah.
And that has a theme song in it that's kind of country westernish, and that's kind of the thought behind it. I kind of want to do a kind of a tip of the cap to The Legend of Boggy Creek and kind of do a recreation type song. And that's kind of how that came around. So my dad wrote the lyrics, he sang, he played lead guitar, my brother played on guitar as well, and yeah, they just kind of did that as a favor to me, and I thought it was perfect. I think it's hilarious. It's fantastic.
How do you present something like that? Like, do you go up to them as a group and you say, you know, that Beatles song, I Want to Hold Your Hand? And they're like, yes. You're like, okay, we're not going to do that. We're going to do a song called Bigfoot's Bride. Yeah. And it's for the end credits. And you're going to say Bigfoot's Bride multiple times. How do they look at you like that? Are they like, or are they like, yeah, we're down for it. Let's do this.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. So my weird sense of humor and my love of, creature features and all that kind of stuff, that comes from my dad. I've always grown up watching Boggy Creek and Corman movies and Universal Monsters. So we're on the same wavelength, and my brother as well. We're all suckers for all that kind of stuff. So as soon as I brought it up, and I think what I did send him was kind of a rough style of the song that I kind of wanted to emulate. And I think what I sent him was kind of some Creedence Clearwater Revival style sound to it. And then I was like, look, this is the movie, this is the script, this is what I've shot so far. Can you write a little song that kind of hits on certain parts of the movie and it's kind of catchy, which I feel like it is actually extremely catchy. It kind of just ran with it, and it turned out great. So yeah,
I think a single needs to be released of this song.
I talked about maybe doing a little single vinyl limited edition Bigfoot's Bride release. So maybe
that would be funny. You could include it in with the the movie itself or something, because since the CDs are the same size as a Blu-ray, I've had that where soundtracks are included in.
Yeah, the 10th anniversary edition of Bigfoot's Bride should have the little custom.
Oh no, I got to wait 10 years for that.
I don't have to look at the contract again. I don't think it's but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the song is definitely fun. So I kind of do the same thing at the end of Axmas 1 and 2, as I have the actor who plays the killer Santa. We pick a theme for each film, and they sing just kind of like a creepy version of it at the end. So it's important to have those theme songs in there.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
And now the scene that I missed on Tubi, this is the scene that will spin people's heads. As partially through the credits, all of a sudden, Fred walks out onto the road. He takes out of his pocket a device, and he hits that button, and some sort of time portal opens, and he gets in it and disappears.
Yep.
That may be my favorite part of the entire movie, right there, because that's when I started thinking government, experiment, conspiracies, secret societies.
Yeah.
Like what is this? Obviously he's smart enough to know how to use this device, and he knows what the portal is. So what's the portal? Can you say anything about that?
I want to leave a lot of it open up to interpretation, but yeah, it is a portal, and it is he is smart enough to use it. Whether he's been taught, hey, all you gotta do is push this button, then you can escape whatever situation he's in, or whether he's stolen it from a secret lab, or whether he's just conscious enough to know what it is and what it does. But yeah, it is a time dimensional portal opener. that kind of leaves it wide open for any sequels, which the rough outline right now kind of has a little bit of time jumping in it.
Oh,
I won't
nice.
say much more than that, but yeah, it kind of is just, how can we leave this as open-ended as possible is basically,
Yeah, because he could end up anywhere. I mean, you could have him in the future, and like cities could be all ruined and broken, or he could go back to like the 50s and be like one of those, cheesy B-50 movies, like Invasion of the Saucer Men or something like that.
Yeah.
So I think that's a great way to end it. But is Fred a deadbeat dad? Because the mother's giving birth to his child, and he decides to I'm going for that pack of cigarettes, and he goes through that portal.
Yeah, I don't know. I will say, I mean, he did make a darn good attempt to try to get her back. So maybe he can't swim. So I don't know. I don't know if he's a deadbeat dad. I think maybe that's what he wants.
Deadbeat Bigfoot.
Yeah, maybe that's what he wants more than anything, is to have a little family. The way he goes about it's not great, but
right.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if he's a deadbeat dad. That's a good question.
Yeah, because that's because maybe he's going to go in time, and then he'll come back with like baby supplies and things like that. Like he'll come back with a crib and all that. He's just going. Maybe that's like his car. And he's just going to Target or something to pick up some.
Or maybe he's just going to reverse enough time to where he can catch her this time before she gets to the river.
Oh yeah, there you go. So that he can explain himself. So see, so many things you could do with this time portal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. And then now in the credits for you, it says fake shimp. Us poor people know where fake shimp comes from.
Yeah.
So if you're a Sam Raimi fan. Yep. And a Three Stooges fan, because that's where he got it from.
Exactly. So yeah, that was just straight up. I love Sam Raimi. I love his style of dark humor, which I feel like was kind of present at some points in Bigfoot's Bride. Like you said, it's maybe not a comedy, but there's some dark humor for sure. So that was just a nod to Sam Raimi and the Three Stooges. I feel like there's a lot of Three Stooges references in there, especially I'm a Three Stooges fanatic, so I love it. But yeah, just another little tip of the hat, I guess.
I guess there could have been a scene where he goes to do the eye poking, where they stop it like that, but the girl doesn't, and his fingers go all the way through her eyes. He's like, "Oh no!"
Yeah, that'd be a great scene. Actually, that'd be hilarious.
She doesn't watch the Three Stooges because an old friend of mine he wrote a short where he explains that women don't watch the Three Stooges. It's like a guy thing, so women wouldn't understand the jokes of the eye and all that stuff. And
yeah,
so there you go. So she wouldn't understand it, but Fred would. So
right.
And it looks like the production company is called A Rat Bastard Media Production.
Yeah. So that came around. So even back when I was doing the music of Bears On, I was like, you know what? I really need to have a production company that's my own, that I can kind of tag on whatever I do. And I come up with some really clever, really well thought out names. And I started doing a little research, and oh crap, that name's taken. I'll find another one. Oh, that name's taken, or that's partially taken. And then I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to name the most awkward, off the wall. I know no one's got Rat Bastard Media on there, and I think it's hilarious. So I'm just going to go with that. So yeah, it's fun filing that paperwork with the government.
Oh, that's
you get funny. Your paperwork back, and and like, oh, Rat Bastard Media LLC. And you're like, is this a typo? Like, no.
That's the name. So yeah, I mean, it's you got to come up with those creative names. My company is Dark Park Films.
Yeah.
And I had a guy, actually, I was at work the other day, and he asked me about it, and I said, oh yeah, my company is called Dark Park Films. He goes, oh, that's a really good name. And I said, well, it's a real place. And he's like, well, what do you mean? And I said, well, when I was a kid, I used to live way up in this canyon in Marin County, and below it was over a period of time, Janis Joplin, Huey Lewis, Steve Perry from Journey lived right below us. At one time we had money. There's no money anymore. But the park that was right below is covered with trees, redwood trees. Sunlight cannot enter that park. It just doesn't. And it's called Dover Park, but the kids always called it the Dark Park So they'd be like, hey, after school, do you want to meet up over at the dark park? And everybody would knew what that was.
Oh, that's cool. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was very creepy. Like everything was metal, like everything was metal, and it was rusty. And then it had like a big, like wooden tree fort that was all put together with metal. And like a kid reportedly fell off of it and broke his arm. And there was all this like tragedy around it and stuff like that. So it's just kind of this creepy, fun place as a kid. So I called it Dark Park Films.
Nice.
So yeah. Cool. So yeah, there's always a little history behind these names. And then your brother Daniel, he was Fred for the most part, but it says here that he's also Thomas. Which one was Thomas?
Thomas is the fisherman.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that's him without makeup and hairy arms and stuff. That's how he normally looks.
So he's watching himself.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
Could Thomas be Fred of the future? And he's watching himself in the past?
Could be. Not gonna say.
Okay. And then I've written down here Bigfoot Vocalizations by Spectrum Effects. So I wasn't sure if that's who did the voice and all that, but you said you did the voice.
No, so the voice was me. The howling, and some of the howling was a mixture. So I did a ton of sound editing work on this movie. And a lot of it is a mixture of different animals and different levels. But the iconic kind of Bigfoot scream that you kind of first hear at the beginning when the two hunters are hunting and the first guy's radio goes dead, that kind of haunting sound, that's all Spectrum Effects. And I gotta look up his name real quick because I want to give him due credit. But basically, I told him I wanted to do a sound similar to The Prophecy. And
that's a good one.
The Big Bear movie, not the Christopher Walken movie.
Oh no, I knew instantly what you're talking about. Prophecy, the monster movie. Yeah,
exactly. So
it's got that great scene with the bear that hits the kid in the sleeping bag. It hits the tree and it just goes.
I love that movie. And the bear's scream in that. It's very kind of strange and kind of funny, but also kind of scary at the same part. And that's kind of what I wanted him to do. But let's see, sound department. And I'm blanking on his name right now. But yeah, that's basically what I gave him. I was like, I want to do something similar to this, something iconic that's kind of human, kind of animalistic, and then just go from there.
Oh, the sounds were good, so I enjoyed them. So that's why I wrote it down, because I wanted to make sure what they did.
Yeah. So I'm gonna have to look up his name. Anyways, continue. I'll find it eventually.
So with now you had mentioned The Legend of Boggy Creek, which it scared the crap out of me as a kid. Absolutely scared the crap out of me, because my mom used to date a guy who lived in Reading. Reading is where the famous Bigfoot footage, that 16 millimeter footage with the guy jumped. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I went to that location. So I've been there. And he was building his house. And his house wasn't like, the windows weren't done. They were just like plastic. And he had all these vents down at the bottom that had plastic, and I had to sleep right next to them. And of course, The Legend of Boggy Creek was always on TV. In Search of with Leonard Nimoy would always be the Bigfoot episode. And it scared the crap out of me, because I'd be sleeping there thinking, oh my, what if a hand comes through this vent and grabs me? Right. And it's just like, oh my God, this is terrifying to me. So what are some other Bigfoot films that have influenced you to make this?
So other Bigfoot films, so that would be the main one. There's another Bigfoot film called Night of the Demon.
Oh yeah.
Which is kind of a hobo, definitely B movie, but it's got some good moments. I believe that's the one where he actually uses a hatchet in that as well. And then there's another one called, it's either Shriek of the Mutilated or Scream of the Mutilated. Shriek
of the Mutilated,
yeah. So another B movie, Bigfoot movie that I kind of inspired me to a degree. And then it's funny, Primal, what was it called? Primal Rage came out a couple of years ago. I think it was called Primal Rage. This film was already done in the bag, just waiting for distribution to catch up from the pandemic. And this movie came out, which I think is fantastic as well. In this movie, the Bigfoots wear a mask, although it's like a wooden, almost Indian, like Native American.
Oh, I know the
mask.
word. Yeah.
Yeah, and they use weapons in that too, and I was like, dang it, I was like 9 months ahead of these guys if this came out. Of course, they had a big budget and all that kind of stuff, but yeah, as far as Bigfoot movies, those are the ones that kind of inspired me. I do actually have a little stack of movies right here that I can show you that inspired me as well that aren't
please
related. Yeah.
Yeah. What you got?
So the first one would be Deliverance.
Oh, great movie, John Boorman. Yep.
Yeah, fantastic movie, and the influence related to this movie is more of the outdoor shots, how they were shot, the canoeing, the fishing scenes, the trees. And another trivia about Bigfoot's Bride, and another connection to this movie, Bigfoot's Bride, all the river scenes were filmed on the same river, the Chattooga River in North Georgia, that Deliverance was filmed on.
Oh, wow.
Same river. So this was actually filmed downstream of where we shot. Same river.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah, so kind of cool trivia there.
Yeah.
The next one that kind of influenced me that's not a Bigfoot movie is Rituals.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of same thing. Again, more of how it was shot with the scenery and stuff like that.
That's with the doctors, right? That go on the camping trip.
Yeah, and they're going across the creek, and there's bear traps in the creek.
Yeah.
And,
yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
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 And then this one, okay, I take it back. There is another Bigfoot movie that influenced me, and I know the filmmakers, super nice guys. The Wild Man of the Navidad. Have you seen this?
I've heard of it, but never seen it. No, I know of it.
You'd love it. You'd love it. So low budget. I want to say they had like 10 grand or something like that. Directors Dwayne Graves and Justin Meeks. If you don't know them, send them a friend request. Super nice guys.
Okay.
I kind of talked to them about my script and how I loved their film beforehand, and kind of bounced ideas I had off them. Really good Bigfoot. Well, I'd say creature movie.
Okay.
Really explained. Another low budget movie with some great filmmakers. Lake Nowhere.
Never heard of it. Don't know.
Fantastic. You'd love it. So this is more of a slasher movie. It's only about an hour long, but it is jam-packed of great scenes, great acting. Directed by Christopher Phelps and Maxim Van Scoy, I guess is how you'd say his last name. But this is more, the reason this is an influence is it has that 8mm super high contrast look to it that I kind of emulated at certain points. But I think they actually did shoot it on film, or if they didn't, they did a great job of making it look like it was shot on film.
Okay, yeah, I'll have to check that one out. Yeah, I'd never heard of that one.
Yeah,
I like the cover.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, good. I like the title.
Yeah, and so in the final one, which you'll know who these people are, is Three Stooges. Three Stooges. The humor.
There you go.
The double takes, the some of Bigfoot's behavior when he's trying to talk or trying to give it up courage to talk to the girl. It's all Three Stooges. Love the Three Stooges.
Nice.
So yeah, I'd say that's my main influences on that movie, Bigfoot and not related.
Okay.
Yeah.
And have you heard of a film called Extinct?
Yes, I actually just saw that like 2 weeks ago.
That I really liked.
Seen it before. Yeah, so that did influence my film, but I did really like it, and I can see the comparisons. But I actually just saw that 2 or 3 weeks ago. I think it was on Tubi actually, or something like that.
Yeah, I've watched it twice.
Somewhere.
Yeah. And it's, I love this scene where the guy's riding his bicycle through there, and he's got like the GoPro on, and Bigfoot is running right beside him, like keeping up with him, like he's like a deer, and it's just like he's going as fast as this guy on his like dirt bike. Yeah. So that was really good. One that I haven't seen, but I want to is Willow Creek by Bobcat Goldthwait. So
yeah, that's really good. It's not really related to my film at all, but you'll appreciate it, especially because it's kind of an homage to the Patterson Gimlin footage, and supposedly it was shot, at the same location. But yeah, it's a found footage Blair Witch style shot thing, but it's a Bigfoot movie, and the ending is I say the last 15 minutes is nerve-wracking and really creepy and well done. Yeah,
Yeah, I
it's
think
good.
it's the only film by him I haven't seen yet. I think Bobcat
Yeah,
is a very underrated director.
yeah.
He's shot some, he's only made a few films, but
Hmm.
it's each one of them is pretty good. So
Yeah,
yeah, I'll
it's
definitely
really
have to
good.
check that out.
Hmm.
Um, so the well, what type of films got you into filmmaking? Like, why did you want to get into film?
Um, I don't know. I have such a wide taste in movies, comedies, horror, action. I've got movies that are black and white, no sound from the 1913, Nosferatu on up to the newest movie that just came out. So I don't know if there's a specific movie that gets me that influenced me to make movies. I just always enjoyed it, and I loved making monsters and playing army, and it just kind of all came together as like, oh, I can kind of do this and maybe get paid to do it. Although I haven't really got paid yet, but hey, maybe one day. But yeah, I've always enjoyed just playing make believe and just entertaining people basically.
Okay. And before Bigfoot's Bride found distribution, which was
Yeah.
through Wild Eye,
Mhm.
what happened to the film? How were you getting it out there for people to see?
Yeah, so we reached out to Wild Eye pretty early on, even before the film was actually finished editing. And I knew some filmmakers that had their films distributed through them, and I kind of reached out to them on Facebook and said, "Hey, I saw your film was distributed through Wild Eye. How was your experience? How was the process?" And everyone honestly had nothing but good things to say about them. I don't know what their returns are on profit or anything like that, but as far as getting your movie out there, trying to make a good DVD package, like incorporating the artwork and making a cool scene selection like mine, where the music's playing, it's intense. Like they actually try to put out a high quality product, and yeah, they're very responsive and professional. Is at least as far as I've dealt with them so far. So they were I had a list of distributors that I shopped it around a couple other places, and most of them they just didn't have the reach that Wild Eye did, and Wild Eye I eventually just went with them because of word of mouth, and they really liked it, and they're like, yeah, this is unique and kind of fits with what we do already with Velocipaster and all those horror
Yeah.
comedies. So it's kind of a good fit, and so far it's been great.
Good. And after it got released from Wild Eye Releasing, has anything else happened to the film? Like, is it playing in any festivals or anything like that, or is it just strictly Wild Eye?
Yeah, so the only things we've had the trailer. We had some trailers really early on I was making and teasers on YouTube. And we did go to a couple of film festivals. We did the Atlanta Horror Film Festival, a couple of international ones before the film was released through Wild Eye. And the only one I was actually able to attend was the Atlanta Horror Film Festival, which was really kind of eye-opening. Me, my brother, and my dad and my mom were able to attend along with a couple of the actors, Joel, who plays the older Hunter, and Jessica, who plays the girl who gets shot coming out of tent. Fantastic actress, by the way. And we all were able to kind of go there with our families and see it. And it was funny watching the film and watching the audience. I was so nervous. I was watching the audience, and people were like kind of watching the first part, like, oh, this is kind of scary, but not really. And then kind of they caught on that it was okay to laugh, especially the part where he starts talking to himself and putting on the clown mask. And by the end of it, people were like cheering and laughing. And like after the movie, I had everyone in the audience came up to me like, this was hilarious. I just enjoyed this so much. I thought it was a horror movie, but I was pleasantly surprised that it had a lot of comedy. And, so it was nice to know that going in with the right mindset and being open to what this movie is, you can have an enjoyable experience. If you feel like it's got to be a horror movie and it's got to have this and it's got to have that, then maybe you won't have as good of experiences kind of being like, you know what, I'm just going to watch this, not going to look into it, and just kind of see what it is. So, yeah.
Oh, that's good to hear. That's
Yeah.
nice. So, because it's Yeah, I mean, it's nice that you're that you're calling it kind of like a comedy and stuff, because if you're saying, oh no, this is a straight horror film, and and people are coming up to you going, this is hilarious.
Yeah.
You'd be like, wait a minute here. Yeah, okay, I guess it is a comedy then. Okay, we'll throw the horror thing out the window. So right. And what has happened to your career since the film has come out?
So I've had a lot of people reach out to me, hey, are you going to do a sequel? Hey, well, what else do you have, on your schedule? And honestly, in the last year has been a whirlwind. I've moved from Georgia to Utah. I live in the middle of Utah in the mountains. Absolutely love it. I work as a marketing director for a couple different companies, Jorgensen's Power Sports, which you sell firearms and guns and side-by-sides, and a Ford dealership and a Chevy dealership. So my day-to-day job has changed drastically, although I still get to make little shorts and trailers for the company and take photos and stuff. But my availability, I guess I should say, to be able to designate big blocks of time to make whatever short films or feature films has been kind of condensed. But there is enough people that have reached out to me that I definitely want to do something else, hence the feature film that's almost done. That feature film is a combination of some shorts that I shot and some other filmmakers that I kind of incorporated that fit with the style, and the wraparound will wrap everything up. But after that, I don't know what I want to do necessarily. I'm very interested in this idea I have for a sequel to Bigfoot's Bride. I have a pretty detailed outline of what I want to do. It's just a matter of getting a budget again and getting the people together, and being in Utah now, I have to build my whole crew over again. So it's a monumental task, but it's something, I am going to do.
So it'd be Bigfoot's second bride?
I played around with some other ideas. I thought of, I can't remember the ideas, the specific names, but it's kind of it's going to veer away from what happened in the first ones, and it can kind of be a completely new story and kind of give more backstory to what Bigfoot is, or Fred is, and what he's doing. And like I said, it's going to incorporate some time jumping stuff too. And maybe, hey, the old hunter, maybe his old relative has always had a vendetta against Bigfoot, and maybe we'll see him again. But it's
kind of like a Van Helsing thing.
Yeah. So I don't know. I have a strong outline with some strong ideas. I don't have an actual script, but once I feel like there's enough of a budget and I have enough of a crew I could pull it off with, then I probably will actually write the completed script and start putting that together. So
I only ask one thing for the sequel.
Okay.
Don't have Fred pull the mask off and then it just be like a regular guy.
No, I'd never do that. No.
Okay, good. Fred needs to be Fred. He needs to look like that throughout the whole thing.
Yep.
He can't go through that time portal. And then they're just like, Steve, we're so glad you're back. And he pulls off the mask. He goes, so am I. This thing was really hot and hard to eat with. It's no, he's just a human. No.
So just for you, I'll give you an idea of the first scene I want to do. So I want to do, if I do a sequel, and this is an if, I want to start it in a little small chapel, and there's a small little congregation and two young people trying to get married, and it's very solemn and sweet. And all of a sudden, this wind starts blowing in, and the pastor's trying to read his Bible passages, and all of a sudden, the portal opens up, and a bullet flies through and hits someone in the congregation and falls over. Everyone starts screaming, and all of a sudden, Bigfoot jumps out of the portal in like a old 1800s women's dress, and just sprinting out of the room. And then behind him, some Revolutionary Army soldiers are chasing some red coats, and they're shooting their muskets. And then he gets chased. I don't want to go any farther than that, but that's how wild I want that first scene to be.
That's pretty wild. I like that.
Yeah. So we're not going to hold back on how bizarre the second one would be. It's just going to get
awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that. So that's something for me and everybody else to look forward to. So
so if anyone in the audience is interested, in knowing more, just let me know. So.
Okay. And names now, besides the pregnant woman, and then you had to, like have the two different people. Can you name something bad that happened on set, but then also name something good that happened on set?
Good. Well, I'll start with the good because that's easy. Good. I had a fantastic cast. We were out, and a lot of times, the first scene where she's swimming in the river, it was late fall. The river was freezing cold, and I was like, yeah, I kind of want you to have jump in the water. She's like, okay, yeah, fine. And that's Jordan Phipps is her name. She's kind of making herself a name in the horror genre right now. Jumped in the river, was swimming around, for way longer than I needed. And I was like, okay. She's like, well, there's a deeper spot over here. I kind of dunk under and go back up. And she was just a trooper. Fantastic. Joel Rogers, who plays the older hunter, anything I ask of him, he'll do, and he gives it 100%. He's, in my mind, he's my personal Vincent Price. He's got that presence and that kind of canter of how he speaks and how he acts. I just love it. Jessica Rivera, who plays the girl in the tent, super talented actress. This is the first time I ever working with her, but anytime I do something in the future, I definitely want to involve her again. Sorry, my little pug is running in here and she's upset. But yeah, and then all the other actors and the crew members that are on there. Like I said, it was a lot of times just me and my friend Daniel as the crew, but no one complained. Everyone was completely on the board. It was hot. It was muggy. There was bugs. It was cold. Drill, go away. And
we're almost done.
But it was just the crew was just fantastic in the cast. I couldn't have worked with better people. Bad. The only, and I wouldn't say it's bad. I don't know. I guess one thing would be trying to recast people at the last minute. Which is rare. Like I said, most of the people are fantastic. But trying to recast people, working with a meager budget is always a hindrance, but it's always something you just gotta, you know better than I do probably how many films you've made on a low budget. You gotta work with what you got, and sometimes it works out better because you gotta be more creative and think of ways to shoot it that maybe no one's thought of before.
Right.
But yeah, I can't really think of something bad on this film.
That's good. That's good
bad.
then.
Yeah. It was a good experience all around, really.
Okay. Good. So that's good to hear also. And of course, the film can be watched on Tubi. You can buy it on Amazon. You can get it through Wildeye Releasing. I bought mine through Amazon. I think it was $10 through Amazon. And where else can it be watched or purchased?
So streamed, I got a little list right here. So streamed, Vudu, Tubi, as you said, which is free, but you missed that scene, which I'm glad you brought that up. I did not know
sucks.
That. Yeah. So
I've heard that with other movies too. Another film I watched, somebody goes, "Oh, did you same situation?" It's like, damn it.
Yeah. I mean, it's free to watch, but I guess it's a trade-off. You missed big chunks of it. So I don't know, but Google Play, Amazon, YouTube, as far as purchasing physical copies, you can get them through Wildeye, you can get them through Walmart, Best Buy, Barnes and Noble. I think that about covers all the big box retailers. And then Amazon, you can stream or actually purchase the DVD. So I think that about covers it.
Yeah, and I really do recommend people buy this. I mean, it's to me, it really is just I think it's just awesome. And I really do like it. So it's funny is because I didn't put you with this to the Cosmic Horror short. And I didn't realize at first that it was the same person. And I'm like, God, this name looks familiar. Why does this name look so familiar? Yeah. And I think because on the short, you have a middle name in there. And that threw me. Yeah. And I'm like, God, I know this. And so I looked you up on IMDb and I'm like, that name even looks familiar. The name of the short. And then I looked back at the Cosmic Horror. And I'm like, that's the same guy.
Yeah.
So it's
completely different. Yeah.
Yeah. Completely different films. But I cannot recommend this more. So there's certain films that I really rally behind. And this is one of them. So
Nice.
You know, I think it's definitely worth buying, and it's only $10. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
You know, it's you can even put in another movie in there too for $10 and buy 2 films, you know, for 20. You know, so that's where I draw the line is $20. So it's cheap enough. So
there you go.
Yeah, you know, and it's just well worth it. So so last question would be which you've done a lot of this, but if there's anything else, is there anything that you would like to plug from the past, the present, the future? What do you want people to know?
There's nothing that I really want to plug we haven't already covered. I will say, you know, Bigfoot's Bride's out now. You can purchase that as we discussed. I've got that horror anthology film that's going to be, again, completely different from the music of Erick Zahn, the short film that's going to be involved with your project, which I will plug that. I'm super excited to see that.
Oh, thank you.
And then that will be out hopefully this summer. And distribution is tough to predict when they'll actually have it out to where people can watch it. And we would probably do a festival run with that as well. So maybe people could see it a little bit earlier than that. But we're just trying to get the last touches on the edit, do like a pickup day, and then finish up the wraparound, and that'll be a done deal. So that'll be pretty left field project as well. So you probably haven't seen a lot of the scenes in that as well. So I think you'll enjoy it. Yeah.
Okay, good. All right, perfect then. So then I guess we'll say our goodbyes and
fantastic.
That will end this episode. So
thanks. I really appreciate it, John.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for being on this. So like I said, there's certain films I rally around, and I appreciate everybody being on this. But every once in a while, and I made a comment about this in one of the other videos. It wasn't for one filmmaker, it was a different one where I've said, if I ask you to be on the show and I put somebody ahead of you, it doesn't mean that I don't like your movie or anything. It's just I'll watch something and then boom, it just grabs me. And I want that person on the show because I'm just so into that film. It has nothing against anybody else.
Sure.
And Bigfoot's Bride was one of them. So
fantastic.
So, you know, that's, you know, so everybody who I promised I would be on the show will be on it eventually. So there's just a lot of people.
Lots of good people to interview. Yeah.
And I'm everywhere with it. So, but okay. So it's getting late where you are, as I'm sure. So I will let you go. And I'll say goodbye to everybody. Thank you once again for being on the show. And I will see everybody on the next One Filmmaker. So bye everybody. Hey everybody, thanks for hanging out after the video, and thank you for watching the very first Dark Park Films sponsored video. And who is that sponsor? Well, I've now learned if I do this with my hands, they go to the right area. There we go. That would be Wildlife Command Center Coffee, and you can purchase it right there. You can go to their website, which is buyWCC.com, and pick up their coffee. They have 2 blends, which I'm going to show you now. The first coffee is this one right here. This is a breakfast blend. It's 10 ounces, and it is a medium ground. And it does say, and it's breakfast, like I said, and this is what it says right here. It says, early bird can catch the worm. So there you go, a breakfast blend coffee that helps you catch the worm in the morning. And I really like this one. I'm more of a breakfast kind of blend coffee guy in the morning. So this one I really like. It has that little bit of oomph to it to kind of get you moving, you know, get you up and out. And so I really enjoy this one, but that doesn't mean that I don't like the other one, which is this one right here. This is a dark roast. It is also 10 ounces, and both of these are $7.99 at their website. Pretty good price for 10 ounces worth of ground coffee. This one is, it's a little darker. So it's, you know, I think it's better for drinking at night. Maybe if you're, you know, writing a screenplay or if you're filming, this has got that oomph, that double punch to get you going. So this is one that I also recommend. I like both of these quite a bit, but I kind of do, you know, the breakfast in the morning and then the dark more at night. So I recommend both of these quite a bit. And how did I find out about these two, you know, these two coffees here? And how did I find out about Wildlife Command Center? Well, when I was working on Night of the Zomghouls, there was a box of coffee that was just sitting there, filled with coffee. And we didn't know what to do with it. Like, whose is this? Who brought it? Why is it here? And so we just kept going to the store and buying coffee. And then one day I said, why don't we just get the coffee out of the box and use that instead of, you know, wasting money on going to Smith's or whatever and picking up coffee. So we did. We did not realize that it was the Wildlife Command Center coffee and that it, you know, was sponsoring the movie. And it was great coffee. Everybody loved it. And we just went right through it. By the last day of filming, this coffee was gone. And I went and found out, you know, about Wildlife Command Center, asked if they would like to be a sponsor for Dark Park Films, you know, for their coffee. As many of you know, I love coffee. I love coffee mugs. And so this was a perfect match. And Wildlife Command Center is great with animals. So they provide a great service for rescuing animals. So it's kind of that double whammy for me, where coffee, helping animals, you can't go wrong. And they were even cool enough to send me, get in there, a coffee mug, because they knew that I liked coffee mugs. And right now, I don't get that. A little bit. I want to go on the keyboard, but that's their dark blend, because I'm recording this at night. So I am actually drinking that while recording. Also, one thing that you can get at their website, which is cool, is you can get this. There you go. This pocket knife, which is $9.49. And this is pretty cool because it has their name on it. You know, Wildlife Command Center, we can catch it. And this is what it looks like. Put that down there. There we go. Fully out. So you're getting like the bottle opener, you got the corkscrew, you got a screwdriver, you got a blade, and then you got this little hook thing that you can pop it into something that doesn't have a tab, and then you know, the liquid or whatever in there will come out. So this is pretty cool. And I'm just going to keep mine in my car, because you never know, you might need a pocket knife. So please support them. I'm going to have links down below, you know, where you can, you know, check out just the Wildlife Command Center. I'll also have a link for Wildlife Command Center coffee, and it will basically be for both these guys right here. And please support them. I support them. I think what they do is pretty awesome. And you know, maybe this coffee will be on your set or in your kitchen. It will definitely be, you know, on my set in my kitchen. I know that. So please, once again, I'm going to show you these. Please go to their website and pick up their coffee and make it part of your day or night, depending on which one you like. So that'll be about it. I really appreciate it. Thanks for hanging out with me. And yeah, so thank you. And once again, please support my channel. Please support the Wildlife Command Center, and I will catch you later. Bye.